he did a show at night time called Enter, Entertainment, I think. And he reviewed movies. But then on Sunday morning, we did a talk show that started with a news segment, and then it went to an interview of the day, and I interviewed celebrities and presidents of the United States, all kinds of people on that talk show. And then at the end of that show, we would review his review of the movie. So you got to see both. If I don't know which one you were watching, but if you saw me on it, mine was the one in the morning, and we were reviewing what he did the night before. So the show was just unbelievable. They sent me everywhere. My favorite all-time interviewee was Dolly Parton. They sent me to Austin, Texas, to the best little whorehouse in Texas opening with Burt Reynolds. I can tell you, he was such a heartthrob, but he had a shirt on like this, and all the buttons were spread apart, and I could see his hairy belly. And then he had bad teeth, and he smelled like cigarettes, so I didn't find him a heartthrob anymore. But Dolly Parton was my all-time favorite. I said, all my friends knew I was going to interview her. So they said, Fox, ask her what's real. Come on, let's find out what's really real. Well, I couldn't do that. But I did say, Dolly, is there ever a time you want to take the wigs off, flip those fingernails off if you can, and just be Dolly Rebecca Parton Dean? Well, it's kind of like this. This here is really a good barn, but I like painting and powder. So I paint her all up so she looks real pretty. And then I little strut a little bit like this. And then I want to tell you, if I take all that off, if I take all that paint and powder off, it's still a dang good barn. So I thought, wow. And here's what she said next. While I'm still blown away by that, she said, you know, I come from a little old town in Tennessee. And if I come out here to LA and sing little old Dolly Parton songs, ain't nobody going to pay me money so that I can help my hometown community. So, baby, I made up this character. And I'm telling you right now, I send a whop load of money back to Tennessee because we don't have no food for the tables. We don't have no fuel for the winter. We do not have any books for our tables and for our libraries. And so we do now because I send a whop load of money. So I use that as an example of how you quickly tell who you are, what you're doing, and why you're doing it, and your audience will remember you. So she taught me an incredibly valuable lesson that I've used on every story I've ever done, and all the workshops I've done for people on storytelling. They hear that first. So, and then it went on to people like, they called Rosalind Carter the Steel Magnolia for me. She was wonderful. She was charming and sweet. Got to interview Jimmy Carter when he wrote a book called The Bloods of Abraham. I read it, and it was the first time in my life I knew anything about three divisions in the Middle East. So I really enjoyed him. He did say that I was an exquisitely beautiful woman. So the photographer had a heyday with that. He had it on tape. He showed it everywhere he went. Let's see, what else? Christopher Reeve. Oh, Jane Fonda. It was when she was doing her workout books. So you know how you might not have these, but you have little fat pads on your fingers, like little flimsy things. Well, I put my hand in hers, and it was hard as a rock. And then you know how you put your hand on somebody's arm like this when you're shaking their hand? I did that, and my hand bounced off. It was like as hard as a rock. So I was totally enamored of getting that book and I did that for several years, flipping the pages to do that exercise program. But here's what she told me that was highly valuable. She said, I had asked the question, your father's very sick. How is he doing? She said, she took a big, deep breath, got a little teary-eyed, and she said, we almost lost him, but he came back. So God gave us a little gift of time to say everything we wanted to say and to ask all the questions we could ask. And it was just a gift to us. And he's now kind of not with us. So when it was time for my father, whom I loved like she loved hers, I sat on the bed when we had that little gift of time and asked all the questions we could. And I said to him, Pop, he was in hospice in a hospital and he was going to go home to his senior living place. And I said, you're going to go home this afternoon. He said, I want to go home. I want to go. It's time. It's time for me to go. And it hit me. I said, Pop, do you mean you like want to go to heaven? He said, yep. I said, well, you know, you're going to get a huge mansion up there and you can play all the golf you want and Jesus will be your caddy. And he said, ha ha ha, biggest belly laugh, last belly laugh I heard. And he said, what about Virginia? I said, Pop, I don't know. If she's lucky, she might get a little cottage down by the river. You'll be able to see her. And then we took him back to the senior living, and within a day he was gone. Wow. But Jane Fonda told me how to set that up for my own dad, and she had no idea what she was teaching me.